Yeah.
But I remember like meeting Coleman for the first time, and I was on garde manger, and I'm plating this dish, and he goes, "Is that how the chef wants it?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "I don't know, dude." Like,
being a fucking dick.
Coleman's great. I love Coleman. He's so cool, but it's also crazy.
But he's got that uncanny ability to make you second guess yourself.
Yeah, but like for me, I was like, "Shit!" Like this is like this guy's intense, and like I think Coleman's like a year younger than me, but like you can't tell in the kitchen and things like that. And then also you know, for me, it's like I was like, fuck, like this is my like I don't know, dude. Like I'm staging. Like I don't know if you know this, but like I don't work here, you know. And I was like,
that's awesome,
you know. But
dude, I remember when I first went to go work at the restaurant, he was there, and I remember him being so young, but so fucking good,
super talented.
That shit would piss me off, you know, because I got there and I'm like, fuck these guys, I'm gonna fucking take this shit. And I'd be like, this motherfucker is so good. He's so good.
Yeah,
you know.
And for me, it's really cool because you know you look at the people who were there, like when I first staged, and it's like, and that's what's even more incredible. It's like the people you meet. It's like. You know, I was super young. Coleman at that point, I think, like, he was finishing up his internship, and then I think he was going to go on to be at the restaurant at Meadowood. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and you see these people growing, and we talk every once in a while. Like, you meet all these people throughout your life that, like, you know, that's something else I learned in culinary school. Like, and I think everybody kind of knows, like, one, you don't want to burn any bridges. I mean, sometimes it happens.
Never.
But
don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick. Don't do that.
Don't be a dick.
And then also, like, one thing that, like, I remember, and this is just in general, because, like, this is like the best thing I learned in culinary school. Like the head chef, like had this big orientation shit, and he's like, you know, it doesn't matter who you know, it's who knows you, you know, and like because everybody knows Thomas Keller. Like I know Thomas Keller. Like, you know, I've met him before. I've like been in events with him, but does he know me? Like no. Like what am I going to tell people? Like, oh yeah, like Thomas Keller, like this, I know him, and like yeah, cool, but what the fuck? Like, what does that matter?
Give a fuck about it.
Yeah, you know, and also like from Thomas Keller to people like in general that you just meet, like there's so many people that you meet in your life that like will help you or you help them, or things like that. Like so much comes up in life. Like I know you and Charlie like have a very like close relationship, right? Like a lot of your time spent together was like, you know, it was kind of like back and forth, right?
Yep.
Like you helped him, he helped you, and all those things. And look how life turned out, right? Like you just never know who you're going to meet. And it was such a crazy night to be there. And I remember just being fucking exhausted, like being at Quince, and was like, you know, I didn't know the standard. I don't know what it's like to be in a Michelin star kitchen. Like, you know, I was just like doing whatever I was told, or like trying to pick up everything that I saw, right? And I remember like the CDC took me, and we were like in the stairwell, and he's like, all right, like, do you want to work here? And I was like, yeah, I want to work here. And he's like, all right, you know, when can you start? And I was like, oh, probably like September. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, you know, just so you know, like, this is what we're offering. Like, at that point, it was like, I mean, it's 2011, so like, minimum wage was like low. And I think like, it actually, I'll say this. Like, I remember being offered $10.25, right? And then it was like, okay, you're going to get overtime and a couple other things. Like, I think every day we're guaranteed like 3 hours overtime. So I was like, whatever, I'll do it. I don't care. Right. And then I remember also, like, it was such a, for me, like, the reason why I chose Quince just in general was because, like, I knew Tusk had worked at Chez Panisse. I knew that he had relationships with farmers. I knew that he was doing whole animals. And I knew he wanted James Beard. And I was like, I need to be trained by somebody like this. And I didn't know at that point that, I honestly didn't know he was like that into, or he was that well known for pasta or Italian cuisine. Like, I just knew those three things about him and what I wanted to get out of it. And then, like, the CDC at the time was like, all right, so, you know, our goal is to be 2 stars, 2 Michelin stars, be a 4-star restaurant in the Chronicle, and get, and those are the 2 goals. And I was like, shit, okay, like, I want to be a part of this team. And so I leave that night, got the job. I was like, never been more excited in my life. And also, like, just nervous because I'm like, shit, I don't know anything. Like, you know, I just don't know shit. Like, I was just making chopped salads and garlic noodles the night before. And now I'm, like, going to work in this kitchen. And like between my start date and when I got hired, it was like a month. So, I finished up what I needed to do in Orange County, and I made another trip up to San Francisco to look for apartments. And then I was also like, I need to get back in the kitchen. Like, so I did another stage at Quince, just so like I could also stay relevant, because it was like, man, this is like a month in between. Like, who knows who can come and take this job and be like, who the fuck is this guy? So I was just like, shit, I gotta be there. Yeah. And then, I did that and actually filled out my paperwork that day too, because I remember like they're like, oh well, you're here, like let's fill out your paperwork and do all those things. And then my first day was like September 23rd, and so when it comes to my first day. And this is another thing, too. This is just me. Like, for me, it's just, like, there's so many things that, like, can happen in a day that, like, could really fuck up your day. Where, like, if I could do as much as I can to, like, bring down that stress, I'm going to do it. So, like, when I moved up to San Francisco, moved up, I think, 2 or 3 days before I was supposed to start at Quince. And then I don't even know where the fuck I was living. Oh, no. Sorry. I do know where I was living. I was staying with my buddy in his dorm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in SF State. So I was like, fuck, okay, like, he's letting me kick it on his couch for however long. And I was like, I need to figure out how long it's going to take me to get to the restaurant and, like, all these things. Like, how do I even get there? Like, I didn't know how the buses systems work or any of those things. So, like, I remember going there, getting to Quince, like, taking the bus route, timing it. How long does it take me to get there? And, like, I just remember getting there and then talking to, like, I just ran into Tusk again, and I think he was, like, he was stepping out to go somewhere, like, I think on a plane to New York or something like that, and he was just like, oh, do you have everything all set up? And I was like, yeah, I'm super excited, and, like, and I was like, all right, this is the place, this is where I'm going to be. And so first day, like, I remember signing the paperwork with this guy, Joe Papich. He was the sous chef there. He was like...
Joe Papich?
Yeah.
That guy's French Laundry royalty.
Dude, he's legend.
Yeah.
I mean, even at Quince, dude, this guy was intense. Like, he was the guy, right? Like, there was at that point, the CDC had left, and there was an executive sous chef, and then, I think, 2 sous chefs, and then at Quince, he was kind of like the sous chef. Like, he was like Tusk's guy. Like, he would work with Tusk, like, really taking on the things that, like, the sous chefs in the kitchen didn't do. Like, he did my onboarding. And I remember the only reason why I brought up my wage earlier is because I remember, like, we're doing the paperwork and Joe Papich, like, all right, so you're starting at $10.50, right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, I just got a 25-cent raise.
There you go.
And then they're like, okay, you're going to start on pasta. I was like, fuck, really?
The station that literally... Now tell me, where is Joe Sasto in relation to all this?
So Joe Sasto's like a little bit later down the line.
Okay. So
I started in 2011.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so he was a little bit later down the line. So, and I have a very interesting, like from 2011 to 2019, I have a very interesting timeline of like my career.
All right. Here we go.
So we're getting into it, baby. But no, so I remember them being like, they're like, you're on pasta. And I was like,
yeah.
Fuck. I was like, okay, like I had zero hotline experience at that time, like all garde manger. And I was like, okay, because the 2 garde manger people at that time, actually so one of them was this, was Melinda, and the other one was Alex Hong, who owned Sorrel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But they had just both started. So like, I remember them talking about Alex Hong being on pasta, and eventually he ended up going to like, at that time, like it was pasta 1 and pasta 2, and it was split up by like, pasta 1 like
stuffed pastas, and then the other one was
pasta 1 was actually like because at that point too there was like garnishes like seared scallops or squab or rabbit racks, like so pasta 1 was like actually cooking meat and doing pasta too. So, and pasta 2, that station was like the raviolo, or at that point it was like this gigante raviolo. So you're like poaching it, and then it was like a lot of like simple pastas and things like that, or simple for like at that time. But I remember being like, shit, I don't know shit. And you're gonna put me on pasta, okay? Like they're training me and all those things, and you just kind of like sink or swim, and like especially first starting there, like I couldn't tell you like the names of everyone. I couldn't tell you like what was actually going on. All I knew is like I needed to be on pasta station. I need these certain things set up. You know, like I remember sitting in menu meetings because every morning or every day before the shift, like you'd sit down with Tusk and like everybody would sit down as a kitchen and he'd be like, okay, these are your dishes. These are what's changing. And like in my head, I was like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. Like I'm just like trying to soak everything in. And like everything's happening so fast. Like I relate it to when I made the jump from JV football to varsity football. It's not that the game is different; it's the speed is different. Mm-hmm. You know, like so. Like I remember like being in varsity and being like, I can't see anything. And then once you catch up to the speed, you start to understand or start to see, and you like really can comprehend what's going on.
Yeah.
So like that's what I was kind of doing. I was just kind of being like, fuck, okay, I need to catch up to the speed. And I remember it was summertime, so it was like, you know, there was like pestos, and I had this corn pasta on, and things like that. And you know, again, like this is 2011, so coming in early and like kind of working while you're not clocked in is like a normal thing, you know. And for me to survive, I had to do that. So I was like on the station for some reason, like, and maybe they just knew like I was too new and all those things, but like my dishes weren't really changing, so like gave me an advantage.
Gotcha.
So I was like, you know, I'd come in really early, like 10, and I think our start time at that point was like 1, and I'd just come in and just start prepping, like making corn stalks or fillings and garnishes and stuff like that. And I think after like 2 weeks of doing it, I remember I ran into Joe Papage. And he goes, what are you doing? I was like, I'm here to prep. And he goes, no. He goes, you need to come in closer to your in time and fucking push. And, like, that's... You can't just come in early and, like, you know, cruise through your day.
Relax all day.
Yeah, and I was like... not in my head that's what I was doing. I was like, fuck, I need to do this to survive. But then I was like, okay, like, yeah, I do. Like, I need to... Like, I had a good idea of, like, what I needed to do to get through the day, at least on pasta. And that was like, okay, like... Yeah, now it's time to, like, that's that push, and that's what this restaurant's about. And, like, you know, you can't just be in here, like, every day, like, 3 hours before your shift and just, like, kind of cruise through the day or all those things, you know? And like I said, not just what I was doing. It was just, like, I had to survive that way, but then it was, like, now I have to do it. Like, he's watching me, like, I can't show up at, like, 10 anymore or whatever.
Doesn't leave time for your life either.
Yeah, I don't know what that was back then.
Exactly.
But yeah. Like, you know, for me, I was like, I was living on my buddy's couch in my dorm. Yeah. Actually, yeah, you know, like I was living on his couch and it was just like, dude, like I was only there to be at Quince. Like, I was only there to work. And so for me, I start coming in later and doing it. And like, you know, even back then, like it was still kind of like learning because like I'd never been in those kinds of kitchens and stuff like that. And then everything at Quince happened so fast sometimes, and especially back then, it's way different than what it is now. Like the structure, and it was a lot more like, you know, like it was a 1-star kitchen at that point. Like not that the standards were lower or anything. I always felt like, you know, when it finally got 3 stars, I always felt like it got there, right? Like it was always there, and it was always those things like. The standards were always super high, and like you always had to push, and all those things that like equivalent, like that get you to that point, right? Yeah. But so I'm on pasta, and I remember like I think a month in, or like 2 months in, the entremet guy, like something happened to him, and they're like, all right, well, like Nico, you're gonna be on meat entremet, and I'm like, what? I'm like, are you serious? Like, an entremet, like, you know, pasta, it's like one thing. Like, there wasn't a lot of vegetable work. Like, besides like making the fillings and stuff like that. Like, I'm also not making the pasta and those things. Like, we have the crew that makes the pasta there's been with us forever, and you know, so like I was like, shit, like, you know, all of it there is like. It's a lot of vegetable work, and it's summertime at that point. Like it's like late August that this is going to happen. Yeah. I'm like, shit. Like I wouldn't even know how to go about doing this, or like, you know, whatever. Like, but you're not going to say no, right? It's like, okay, cool. Like I'm being meat entremet, you know, and like because like something like a family emergency or something happened with that guy. It wasn't a lot of time for training, so you know, I was like, all right, well, this is it. You know, I'm going to go be entremet. And a lot of like I said, why I took the job at Quince was because Tusk had such deep relations